What's up, guys? This is your boy Noel again, and today I want us to talk about South Sudan. I just realized, and I know most of you know that South Sudanese tend to become people who are not aware of themselves, or they are not aware of, their rights and what they need to do. It's starting to look like a trend. It's something that's not so good, given that we are laughing at the victims, people being affected by most of the people in the authority are doing. And now, instead of us paying attention to what's happening and how the country is being run, we are, in other term, trying to laugh at the victims, the people who are facing some criticism. What doesn't look like how we're supposed to run the country or how it is supposed to be at the beginning. And it sent me somewhere. And you know where it sent me to? It sent me to, do my research on, what are the constitutional duties and that the president of the country actually have. And the reason why I went to look at this is because, the issue of decreeing is actually being rampant so much like in the country. And it's mean people are trying to turn it, making it look like it's a comic thing to happen, that the president always wake up and decide, this, I need this person in the government and I don't need this other person. But for me, the reason sacking or ousting of Mr. Bomel, who was the former vice president, whatever that happened the other day actually made me worried, made me asking myself personally, like, why would I laugh at Bomel when he wasn't the first person to be decreed? I start thinking about why is this person always decreeing like employees, changing government official every now and then. And I started thinking of, this looks like a blame game. It looks like there's something in the government that this regime is actually trying to turn the faces of the people of the country towards people who are innocent. Actually, I want to say that word, innocent. Because, the ousting of Bolmel, I've done all my research. I've been looking in it. I've asked myself, I've tried to Google, ask people, what did this person really do? But there's nothing concrete to lead to what happened to him, how he was ousted from the office and now made a private citizen out of nowhere. I feel like he's actually taking a blame for someone. There must be a blame game in between. There must be reasons why this person is ousted in this way. And I feel like maybe the government is trying to turn people against innocent people so that we don't pay attention to the thing that they are doing for the country. And you know what I did? I did my research and asked myself first, who gave him the authority to decree ministers, state ministers, state governors, and reshuffling a lot of actions that the president Kiir is actually carrying out? It's actually sent me somewhere to go ask myself, like, is it actually how it's supposed to be? Was he supposed to be the one do this? What is the purpose of the parliament? What is the purpose of the body of legislature? Are they not the one who's supposed to do that? Is it supposed to be like the president decide and all that stuff? Now, I went back in 2011 before the referendum and the independence. So when South Sudan got independent, all year before that, there was an interim constitution that was actually implemented. That was around January 21st day in 2011. And then in April, it was revisited. And then now, after independence, I found out that there are laws actually governing the country that we do not know about because people don't want to go dig and understand what's happening in the country, what are the laws. And secondly, the president has actually been abusing those laws. And that's why most of us are just hating on the innocent people. Now, let me take you through what are the constitutional duties or the roles of the South Sudanese president. The first role, or the first ever role that the president of South Sudan is supposed to carry out is to be the head of state and the head of the government. That is the first role of the president. The president is also supposed to be the commander-in-chief of all armed forces. Again, look, how many armed forces do we have in South Sudan? How many commanders, head of armed forces do we have? Let me talk of SPLA and SPLA-IO. Those are armed forces. But who is the head? Not only the president. Almost everyone has their own army, which is not according to the constitution. Again, the president is supposed to be responsible for national security and territorial integrity. So they're supposed to be to make sure. President is supposed to make sure they provide national security to the citizens. And when we talk about national security, do I have to talk to say much about it? No, there is no civilian protection in that country 100%. We all know what's happening in every state and all that stuff. So that is another role of the president that I do not see being carried out. Supervision of the constitutional and executive institution. He doesn't supervise. He actually runs that, all of it. So I don't think there is anywhere the citizen have ever been involved in, constitution amendment and all that stuff, or even the house of legislature. I don't think there has been, but that is, of course, the president is supposed to supervise and all those things to do with constitution. The president is supposed to appointment of constitutional and judicial offices holders as allowed by law. That is the president's role. He should be the one carrying out that. Should be presiding over the National Council of Ministers. The National Council of Ministers. Do not forget, South Sudan is a federal state. We have the national government, and then we have, which is the federal government that's supposed to be headed by the president. And then we have the state's governance that's supposed to be, headed by the governors and all that. But listen, the president is only the head of the National Council of Ministers. National Council of Ministers, not the state ministers. I'm gonna say something about that later, but not now. The reason why I'm emphasizing on that. Declaring or terminating a state of emergency under lawful condition. Of course, that is the role of the president. Initiating constitutional amendment and legislation. Of course, that's the role of the president. Assenting to bills passed by legislature. That's the obvious procedure. The parliament decide on something, present it to the president, and look if he's gonna sign the bill or not. Not the president coming up with the bill, signing it without passing it through the legislature. Convening, summoning, or proroguing the national legislature. It's actually the paramount duty of the president. Granting pardons, confirming death sentences, even though the Constitution of South Sudan does not allow death sentence. There is no death sentence allowed in South Sudan, whichever the situation or the case. There is no death sentence allowed. But again, it's the president who can confirm if death sentence should be issued to a criminal or something. Remitting penalties as allowed by laws. So president can actually pardon criminals. Directing foreign policy and representing South Sudan internationally. Of course, appointing ambassadors and accepting foreign envoys. Ratifying treaties with legislative approval. And sometimes I ask myself, why do we have a parliament? Treaties been signed and all that stuff. I have never seen it passed through the parliament. I've never seen anything the parliament of South Sudan have ever, discuss and bring to light and then signed by the president. Not as I'm still alive right now. But I don't know in future. Hopefully things change for the country. Declaring wars as permitted under constitutional procedure. Those there, my people, are the roles of the president or the duties that are lawfully supposed to be carried out by the president. But again, I went on my research and also look at the actions the president is not lawfully allowed to do, but reportedly does. There are some, actually, there are things the president have done of which in law is not allowed to, but he goes ahead and carry them out. So the actions the president is not lawfully allowed to carry out, but he goes ahead and carry them out. The first thing is creating or altering the number of states without constitutional amendment procedures. For so many times you guys have seen South Sudan change states from 13 sometimes to 10 and then back to 10 and all that. This kind of thing is not supposed to be done that way according to the Constitution of South Sudan. It is not supposed to be done that way. It's supposed to be done through when the Constitution is amended. That's when this kind of activities are supposed to be carried out. But if the Constitution is not amended, no one, including the president, is lawfully allowed to do that, to alter or create states. Another thing that president unlawfully carries out is using executive decrees, using decrees to override the role of the national legislature. Come on, man. It's not the role of the president to decree, to decide who works where. It's supposed to be the parliament. But again, the president goes ahead and does that. Removing governors or dissolving state assemblies without lawful justification. Soon enough, I'll have my friend here, Jacob Chol. We will be talking mostly about all this. But yeah, this point here is going to be one of the things I know is going to emphasize on. Removing governors or dissolving state assemblies without lawful justification. That is criminal. According to the Constitution of South Sudan, that is criminal. But what do we do as South Sudanese? A minister is decreed, we are happy. We are not looking at the bigger part of the pie. We're not looking at who is actually wrong in this situation. Was it Bolmel who was decreed? Or is it the president who actually decreed him without the law of the country allowing or permitting him to do that? Using emergency powers for political control rather than genuine crisis. Should I talk about 2013, 2016? No. You all know what this point actually meant. Centralizing power in the presidency contrary to the principle of decentralization. Come on, man. You are the president. You are not the parliament. The president carrying out all the duties is sickening. A president from the federal office going all the way to state level to fire a minister, a state minister, and replace them with the person of their desire. That's criminal. But what do? We are happy because we are being controlled. Right now, we are a country. It's a country where the citizens are slaves. This is actual slavery, where the victim is the one people laugh at when the perpetrator is the one going home as a winner. Interfering with the independence of the judiciary. I grew up in Kenya, 100%. I live in the United States, and I know the power of judiciary. I know the power of judiciary. Powerful, more powerful than the president himself sometimes. Trust me. But what do you guys think about what's happening in South Sudan in terms of judiciary? But we don't look at that. We're looking at the victims. Who are those suffering under the regime? We are happy. Riek is facing criminal charges. But sometimes I ask myself, okay, it's okay. He can face the criminal charges. But who else do you guys think should face those criminal charges? Who? Well, you know the answer. Using security agencies for intimidation, national security, blue house, arbitrary detention, or abuses. Yeah, I've heard the other day there was fire in Konyo Konyo and one person was so gutted he went on live and called out the government for not reacting toward that, which is their constitutional right. In fact, the Constitution of South Sudan, the Bill of Freedom of Speech and Media is clearly there. But because they went out there, go online and raise the most important issue, and given that the government did not react enough to save the situation, I heard yours. I'm not sure about that, but I'm told that person is also in jail right now for calling out the government. It is crazy. By passing checks and balances established by the Constitution. Checks and balances, that mean the state. It's the fact that the country is supposed to be run according to the Constitution, the law that people decide this is how we should run our country. But what does the regime do? They are bypassing every check and balances. And they carry out whatever they want to do. You know why? Because South Sudanese, the citizen, we are okay with that. The only thing we want to see is a victim like Bolmel. We want to see him being taken there, and we are happy. We're laughing at him. Any other person, we are okay with that. We don't have any problem. To be honest, we don't have any problem. They are breaking the laws, no problem. But the person who is the victim, because this regime break the law, that person who is the victim is who we want to laugh at. That's the country we come from. The third part of this is the consequences of of these actions. And this is where we need to ask ourselves, do we actually love this country? Ask yourself, do you actually love the country? Because when we allow the regime to carry out whatever they do and go against the Constitution, do things the way they want, these are the consequences. Number one, weakening the rule of law and constitutional order. That means there's a country being governed by police. It's a police state. He says it. He said it. You listen or you don't listen, no one cares. Erosion of democratic governance. Come on. That's something I don't need to stress on or try to explain to you guys. Well, that's it. Our country is not democratic. We know that for sure. Or have you ever elected any person to office? Were you ever given the opportunity to decide who you want to lead you? Were you ever given a chance to contribute an idea? Or were you ever left because you called out the president or the government because of not doing something nice for you, right for you? Our constitutional state is being eroded, and that's what's happening. Reduce autonomy of states and local governments. That means the state governments and the local governments are useless. Because if the federal government is going to leave up there and come down to come and carry out an action, what is the purpose of the state ministers? What is the purpose of the governor of the state? They do not have anything. They don't have any law. They don't have any duty. They do not have any, opportunity to carry the activity to serve the people. Greater risk of human right violation. That one, I don't need to talk much about it. That's rampant. That's something like, sometimes we are slaves, of course. We don't have any human right. That's how the country is. And we have accepted it because we are laughing at Bolmel and any other person that is a victim of the law broken by the regime. Institutional instability and political tension. Of course, political tension every now and then. Now everyone is powerful. Everyone can say whatever they want to say. You don't want to listen? We go to war. Institutions are not stable. Look at finance. Look at our economy right now. Every time you wake up, some minister somewhere has stolen money. The institutions are not stable. There's not even a system of protecting that. Years ago, I watched a documentary done by a Kenyan journalist called Jonal Namo. It's called Profiteers. You need to go check that out. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. You need to go check that out. And you will look at how our country is reduced to the governors, the ministers, including the president, how they misuse the resources of the country and things they do. Man, you'll be ashamed. Trust me. You're going to be ashamed if you look at that. The loss of public trust in government institutions. Who in that country trusts the government? Who trusts any government office in South Sudan? No one. Maybe people will benefit from it because this is our country. This is our government. Come on, guys. And now, I now have the last part of this podcast, and this part is about what the timeline since independence, things that happen, and the reason they happen is because of breaking the law, the government not following the constitution, doing things right. This is what happened in 2011. The first event that happened in 2011 was the independence and transitional constitution adopted. So we got independent, we became a country, and we adopted our constitution. Of course, this same constitution we're not following right now, or we're not even looking at. Are we even teaching this constitution in schools? I don't know. I do not know. We need to ask ourselves that question. Are we actually teaching this kind? Because when we adopted our constitution, the president was given the power to establish executive, military, and diplomatic authorities. In 2013, we had the political crisis and civil war. I don't need to stress on that. You know what happened? A lot of people died. It was really upset. And if we followed the constitution that we adopted in 2011 after independence, I would not have seen this happening. It's absurd that we are running a country that have a very good constitution. Trust me, if you take your time to read through the constitution of South Sudan, that's one of the best constitution I've seen. I know the constitution of Kenya, and when I look at the constitution of Kenya and South Sudan, there's no difference. But look at Kenya, very stable country right now. That same constitution, if we had good leaders, our country should be somewhere around there. Stability should have been found, even though we are a very, very young country. And then in 2015, we have the Compromise Peace Agreement, the CPA. What it did was it tried to help, limit the actions the president, especially the president, is taking. That's again is the law. So the Compromise Peace Agreement came in because there was war, and then they agreed. They tried to limit things that president was misusing that are not against the. But now it was done. Of course, that's it. And then what happened? The executive decrees continue to be used broadly. In fact, it's actually escalated. 2015, they tried to agree on something to try to control the president to lead the country the right way. But what happened? It became worse. Worse. And after watching this, you might wake up tomorrow and there's another minister taken out of office. It's crazy that way. And then in 2017, creation of 32 states by the presidential decree. This is the worst and one of the major controversies according to the Constitution of South Sudan. It's never supposed to be possible a president to wake up and say, I want this state here and there. Nope, nope. Our beautiful Constitution does not outline that, does not allow the president to do that. It is supposed to be done accordingly. And that should be through the amendment of the Constitution. And then those changes can be made. Not by the presidential decrees. That's so limiting. That's like a father who called the family and say, you know what, I told you to take that farm there. No, give it to your brother. And then you take the other one. Just like that, because that's actually what happened. If the president feel like there's the need of doing this, if the president feel like there is the reason why he wanted to do this, why don't he do it the right way? He has the powers to do it, but the right way. Presidential decrees? In what place have you ever heard that? And then in 2018, the RARCSS, that is the Revitalized Peace Agreement. That's the reason why, the initial killings in Nasser. You remember? The reason why Riek Machar is in court right now is because the Revitalized Peace Agreement, whatever, they restored like 10 states and emphasize on shared governance, checks and balance, and constitutional reform. Crazy, man. This is not even a country no more. This is not a country. Trust me. Trust me. This is not a country. This is not the right way to do this. So in 2018, we went from the 32 states in 2017 and then to 10 states. I mean, Come on. These are the things we should be laughing at, not at Bol Mel being ousted of his office innocently, a victim of what we are actually going through. Crazy. And then 2020, they reversed the 10 states. The presidential decrees reversed earlier expansion, again raising debates on constitutional limits. He just wakes up and want to do something. It's okay, because we're gonna be happy. We're gonna be laughing at that. We're gonna be okay and move on with our lives, as long as we are just South Sudanese, and he's our father. And then from 2021 to 2024, the ongoing constitutional reform process, the national dialogue and constitutional making efforts aim to clarify presidential powers and prevent misuse, which is a good push until something came in between. You know what came in between? Riek taken to court to disrupt us, to make us not think about what is the main or the very, very important issue to have been tackled. Listen, this is South Sudan. Millions of South Sudanese are on social media. We're not talking about these things. Some of us see them and we just, who cares? That's the same country you want your kids to grow up in. Come back and be proud and say, this is my country and everything is going to be okay one day. Which day? Today is one day. God. And then presently, right now, as we talk, President continues exercising broad executive authority. Concern persists regarding judiciary independence. So there is now independence for, the judiciary department or institution. And then state autonomy and unchecked executive decrees. Yeah. Yep. He just decided to do it and he's going to do it. Who's going to say nothing? No. For us, we're just waiting. Who is that person who is being decreed? And then we start laughing at them. And we are okay with that. And I said, there is what we call the blame game. And this is what's happening. The boss make a mistake, blame it on the person, take him or her out of office, and say, this person did not follow the rules. Or let's say stole money, state money. And now we look at that person as the bad person. But before we do our checks and balances, and when now you come to your senses and start thinking about or go do your checks and balances, you realize this person actually did nothing. It's just like every other person. If he was doing the right thing, if those decrees were really honest one to at least bring changes or to actually throw out people who are actually misusing national funds and the national offices. Why are they rotating around? Why are they rotating around that same leadership? Why are they rotating around those kind of leadership? If actually those kind of decrees are meant to bring change and to take out rogue leaders, rogue ministers, people misusing the funds, the country funds, why are those same people still being brought back? Will there be any difference? Waniga was the vice president, thrown out because of this and that, brought back. And it's not only him. So this is like, I don't know, everyone get a piece of that cake. And if you go and you want to come back and get another one, you are welcome back. That's how the country is being run. Come on, let's wake up. Look at it the right way. If we start talking about that, if we start showing that we understand actually what's happening, then there will be a little bit of adjustment. But the fact that we do not even look like we understand what's going on, we know what's going on, they're going to carry us like that. They're going to look at us like stupid people. And that's what's happening.